Susan, I'm Jason Lamoureux, Main Inspection. We're going to make a little video for you down here in the basement crawl space area, if you will, kind of an open air structure down below. Give you a rundown of what we see down here, which was a majority of what we found in the home that you may want to concern yourself with. Basically, the posting system of the entire camp is just aged. It looks like it's probably original or was replaced quite a few years ago. The bases of these cedar posts are pretty deteriorated. This one's not so bad. This one over here to the right, sorry, I'm going to fly around on you a little bit. This one here is pretty deteriorated. I can get my hand under the post and feel the center of it. The center of the post is still solid, so nothing that I'm concerned with falling down anytime soon. But it's time for those posts to get replaced, and that's a fairly easy job for a contractor. They basically can put a temporary support off to the side, pull the old post out, put in a new pressure treated post, and set it back down. A fairly easy project. This beam over here, although it does appear that it has a newer pressure treated post installed, this one looks like it's been repaired. You can kind of see as you go across that the floor joists are not setting on the beam here, and this beam really is totally afloat down here and really isn't supporting anything. There's no joints in the floor joists here, so this is probably just additional support to take some of the flex out of the floor because of the long span. But I would recommend, having it jacked up to the floor joists and properly supported so it gives you a little extra support. And then finally, the outside beam, the sill, if you will, on that far side. I don't know how well you can see in the video, but there's not very much bearing on that corner of the home over there. It looks like a live edge, like, bark of a tree that they used for a sill. So kind of gives the appearance of being decayed. I don't think it's very decayed, but the bearing on that stone over there is very limited at best. So that should be properly supported as well. Alright, Susan, one more video here as far as the plumbing. A couple of things on this gas water heater. Number one, technically the TPR valve here should extend down to within 6 inches of the ground, so that if this ever sets off due to the water temperature going too high or pressure building up too high in here, it doesn't shoot scalding water everywhere where you can't get near it, and it would direct it to the ground. So kind of a minor safety thing there, but that should be installed. On a larger note, this gas water heater here vents over into the brick chimney, which also services the wood stove upstairs. So definitely not allowed any longer to have gas and wood burning appliances vent through the same flue of the chimney. It's a pretty major explosion danger. If you have any residual gas that doesn't burn off totally, it gets into the exhaust, it goes into the chimney, and then it meets sparks from the wood stove. That can cause a pretty big explosion, big problem. So it used to be legal at one point, still very unsafe. This is fairly new. I know the company that installed it, and we put in a call to see what the deal is there. I know the sellers are inquiring to see what's going on and why that was installed that way. So further information to come, I guess, on that. Alright, so with the plumbing here, we basically got two different types of discharge going on. This cast iron pipe and system here is running apparently over to a holding tank for the septic system, which gets pumped out basically as it gets filled up. Typically with a holding tank setup, what happens is you literally just fill the tank as you use it, which is sparingly on a camp, and then you have it pumped out every year or 2 years, or depending on how much you use it. As soon as it gets full, you have it all pumped out, versus having a leach field where the liquid builds up and flows out into a leach field. A holding tank holds everything. So this cast iron system is running over there. Then we have a secondary drain line here. This is coming down out of the shower up above and draining down and basically tees off and goes in two directions. This plastic pipe to the right, I think, is running into the holding tank. However, it runs below ground, so I can't confirm that totally. And then this one to the left runs down around and discharges down to the lake area. down below the house. So we would call this a gray water system if it's discharging onto or directly into the ground. That would be a gray water discharge, which is no longer allowed. And then if this does tie into the septic tank, the problem here is this trap is installed upside down. So the trap should enter at the low point and discharge at the higher point, which traps water in the line and prevents septic gases to getting back up into the living space. Where this one enters high and exits low, this holds no water, so it's not blocking any septic gases from getting back into the living space. So this trap is upside down as far as blocking any gases from coming back in. So long or the short of it, this whole discharge drainage area should be evaluated by a plumber and set up in the correct manner for whatever the system is here. Okay, another video here with the electrical system. So we're in the bathroom now. This fuse panel here, this is what we call a Federal Pacific brand fuse panel box. Basically, two different problems with this. Number one, Federal Pacific, the company itself, these are known as a much less reputable brand, known to be more fire danger brand, if you will, than other more reputable brands, as well as fuses really is outdated practice. So a lot of insurance companies are not going to allow this panel here to be installed in the home and provide insurance for it. So this should be upgraded to a more modern breaker panel and not the Federal Pacific brand, which it wouldn't be because they're out of business at this point. So the Federal Pacific fuse box should be upgraded. Also in the shed, there's another fuse panel up there powering the shed. That is a Murray brand. It's not a Federal Pacific, but it still fuses, and they may not be allowed as for your insurance. So worth checking into.